Hey guys, apologies for the issues. As you've probably noticed, we've moved into a brand new studio this year and it looks really good. The internet, on the other hand, maybe not entirely as successful. We've swapped guests. CCP Grayscale, welcome.
Hi.
For those who haven't seen you on the other Alliance tournaments or Red Dev blogs, could you introduce yourself?
I'm CCP Grayscale. I am a senior game designer now. I do spaceship stuff. What am I looking at the camera? Yeah, I do spaceship stuff. I do exploration, I do nullsec, I do whatever comes along, basically. Tutorials.
All right. So we're going to talk about some of the exciting stuff that you and your team are going to be starting on very shortly. First, let's just round up on the spaceships. So we didn't see exactly what happened in this match.
Whoops.
It didn't. So the match apparently went on. Whether or not we keep that result, I'm not sure if they've decided. But of course,
there were ISD people in the system.
Yeah.
None of us.
So the ISD people who are not in the building watched the match. And yeah, we need to figure out whether or not we're keeping this result or we have to redo the match. Whatever happens, we do still have a handful of matches this evening. And then, yeah, we'll see where we go from there. So, winter projects. I think we're going to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, but the big caveat here is that we're very early, so the stuff we're talking about right now is going to be stuff we really want to do, but as kind of at a concept stage. So let's not take this as expect what comes out later. Anyway, so what are you guys going to be working on?
Crime Watch first up, I think. We have, we did the presentation at FanFest. That stuff is all rolling along. We shipped a whole bunch of back-end stuff in Escalation. That all went pretty smoothly. We were quite surprised and nothing exploded, so that was good. And then we're hopefully full steam ahead on getting all that changes to Wardex, changes to stuff like that, sex data stuff maybe as well if we can cram it in.
If I wasn't at FanFest, can you summarize?
Okay, yeah. Basically, what we want to do is just simplify everything as much as possible without losing any of the gameplay. The current crime system is kind of, it's a big hairball, a tarball. It's like, it was originally didn't exist, and then it was aggression tracking, and then we added Concord, and then we added wars, and then we had this, and then we added like sex status and blah, blah, blah. And now it's this horrendous massive code, and every time we touch it, something miles away from it breaks because it's all one big interconnected mess, which is not a great way to implement this kind of thing. So what we're hoping to do is, what we've done is we've, in Escalation, Masterplan and Fredicus basically pulled the back end out and rewrote the back end, so we re-implemented the existing design with new code, new modular stuff, and it's all like plugs in and plugs out, and it makes more sense. So that's now shipped on, that's on TQ, and that's running smoothly, and now we can start pulling bits off, so we can say, take Concord, and we can just pull it off, write a new bit of code, and pop it back in, and it's not going to have these horrendous knock-on consequences, and we touch Concord and like mining breaks or something, which is what's been happening for like 5 years. So that all back-end stuff is now all in place, so now we can start actually touching the front-end stuff. Big things we're looking to do is simplify aggression flagging a lot. So we basically, the big thing we want to do is get rid of all the sort of one-to-one flagging, is all the directional stuff. Currently, like, we store this big graph in like the technical node sense of like who's attacked who and who's got kill rights on who, and if you shoot that guy but he's repped that guy and that guy's shot that guy and he's friends with him, then we can have these propagating chains of like who can do what the whole way through the system, which is very not clear to the user. We have this concept of an engagement, which is kind of a connection between two people, which is continued in various ways and kind of can expire 15 minutes but can keep going. This is where you get stuff where you shoot someone's cannon and they stay aggressive forever because the engagement is still running even though they're docked up. So this, we want to clear all this out. We have a really simple system where you're either civilian, you're fine, no one can shoot you, or you're basically globally flagged to everybody, everyone can shoot you, or you've been a really bad person, you're criminal flagged, and Concord will go for you. And there's just, for the most part, these three clear states, and various things you can do can get you flagged into and out of these different states. We have to do some special casing for wars, and we may do some special casing for a dueling system as well, but for the most part, it's going to be really clear, like, the aim is that everywhere that you do something in the UI that can get you one of these states, the UI will be very clear. It'll be like bright yellow and be like, you can't do this. Are you sure you want to do this? This is going to get you into the state, and then when you do that, you know the state you're in, and it's really clear. So that's kind of the big thing there. There's lots of little bits on the edge. We've got to deal with self-defense, which we're dealing with in a reasonably smart way. I think we're sorting out jump progression in a better way. So now you just inherit the timer. If you're repping someone, you inherit their timer. So if they've got 20 seconds left and you rep them, you get a 20-second timer. So we're not locking you into the system, like you can all jump out together, but there's no more of this like docking games, like I rep you and then I dock and then blah. This is silly.
That's good.
Yeah, this has been needed for a long time.
Yeah, dealing with that and dealing with hopefully with some war stuff. So like no more, if someone interferes with your war while you're actually active in the war, while you're in the middle of a fight, and someone tries to rep you and they're neutral, then they're just going to get global flagged to everybody because they're interfering with the Concord Sanction War and they shouldn't be. So no more neutral reps sitting outside stations. Yeah. It's silly.
Nightmare X will be really disappointed.
I'm
Which is a joke. Some people will get, but not many.
So yeah, that's kind of the main stuff, and then we're maybe have time to look at some stuff to do with LOSEC and criminal flagging and sex status hits and stuff. We'll see how that comes in. See what time we got.
Let's just quickly take a look at the schedule. While we look at that schedule, what's happened with the previous match, which you all missed, is that at Dark Side 1, we are going to keep the results because we did have representatives on field, and simply just move on with the schedule. Next up is Raiden. We're about 10 minutes late. We're hoping to get that one up as soon as possible so we can get back on track. It's Raiden versus Evoke. We have 5 matches left tonight. So yeah, that's the schedule for this evening. We hope we can contain this till around 2100 Eve, but let's see. Hopefully no more outages.
That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely going to have to do some things between this weekend and next weekend to make sure this does not happen next weekend.
Yes. Kiltu, you sounded a bit surprised when I said Dark Side.
I mean, I still think, you've talked about the archetypes developing, the Vindicator the Vindicator Frigg archetype, and then the Slipner sort of traditional Rush archetype, and I think I'm still trying to sort out what the odds are between two setups of those two archetypes against each other, which is what that match was. It was 4 Slipners and a Hugin. It actually, I don't know if it had a Scimitar or not, and I don't know if it had a command. I don't know if it had a Scimitar, but anyway, it was a Rush setup against a double Vindicator setup, and
Vindicators and Iskers and Enyos.
Okay, so I still don't know how to, take odds on those two, and it's interesting. I don't think there's a clear favorite yet, which is cool. And in that case, I guess the Rush setup won. Yeah. And I know that we've also seen the Vindicators do really well. So
I think a lot of that will come down to pilot decision making and individual skill, and that's what makes those matches so exciting. I don't like how you can just look at the setups and say, oh, well, they're going to win because they brought the stronger setup for this.
Except the Gila setup versus the ECM setup.
Yeah, that's that one.
Except that one.
You like that one?
That was kind of just not
that
fair.
was like, yeah.
It sort of just clearly counters the other setup.
It's actually, I think it's a real good indication about this format that we actually have very little, wow, this setup is a clear hard counter and this match is over before it starts. We've had so many where it looks like one team is favored based on setups and then it's gone the other direction, or where we just plain don't know how it's going to work out. And I think that's a sign of a strong format. It's very non-rock, paper, scissors, which is hard to avoid, I think, in the tournament, eventually.
We are seeing now certain setups are coalescing, and I don't know if that's just people copying setups that have been doing good so far and they're just scared to experiment. But for the most part, I don't think there's like the setup of the tournament yet. We see a couple popular ones, but not like you have to bring this or you won't win kind of thing.
But I also don't think there's 32 amazing theory crafters out there.
No, it's really hard. I think it's actually really difficult for teams that are kind of in the lower to middle range of that 32 to innovate. Like it's just scary because they're not going to be as good at it as the top couple teams. They're not going to have the experience to know how their theory crafting compares. And so the best bet a lot of time is going to be for them to just imitate. And you're right. There's going to be a couple teams that are better at it than everybody else. It's very hard for people to. If
it worked for PL, it'll work for us. Let's do it.
I mean.
Well, PL blatantly stole their setup from Test.
Absolutely, yeah.
Masterminds, Test.
So I think is a pretty good rule of thumb for the rest of the tournament.
Yes. Look at what Test are doing.
Yeah.
Test who, so one thing we talked about just before we switched you guys in was whether or not these teams are good at one format or both. So some of the teams that did really well in the qualifiers, Goonswarm, really good 6 versus 6.
Did not lose a ship in the qualifiers.
Not so. All right, let's do that question after we come back because we're trying to get back in schedule and we have a match ready.
Let's move.
Although the time is a little bit funky. We're about 12 minutes late. Let's see Raiden versus Evoke. What do you say, John
I
Sastro?
think Evoke's been making some mistakes. I'm going to go with Raiden Dot on this one.
Raiden as well.
Can't disagree. And then they're going to do okay.
I'm going with Raiden as well. Let's see if it works.